first of all, having me here today. It's really an honor and a privilege. That was fantastic insight into how people, I think, are using data to finance the SDGs. I want to touch more on the human element a little bit. So I wanted to start just by kind of a broad, maybe hypothetical question of, if you had to reduce the energy consumption in the city of New York by 125 megawatts instead of building another power plant, how would you maybe go about doing that? Or, another question that maybe is even bigger is if you wanted to put 100 million solar or clean burning cook stoves in the hands of families around the world, how do you go about doing that? The answer, from what I've seen through my experience that I'd like to go into, is through the public-private partnership and the interaction between people that happens there. So just to kind of delve into my background, so I grew up in Los Angeles. I worked in the clean energy industry out there and was first brought to New York in 2013 to work on an energy reduction strategy and program, really, to help Con Edison reduce energy consumption by 125 megawatts. And this program was helped put in place by NYSERDA. For those of you who don't know, it's the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, which is actually a public benefit corporation under the state of New York. And even though the consulting company I worked for, we were mainly engaging with the public entity, it quickly became apparent that to really drive change and meet these goals, we were gonna have to engage private industry stakeholders and get them on board. And this didn't just mean large Fortune 500 companies, it also meant small to medium-sized enterprises. But in either case, what it came down to was getting people in the same room, investors, financiers, and particularly people from the public sector together in the same room with people from the private sector, whether they're sustainability managers or operation managers, so that they could really understand the value proposition of this program, the need for it to move forward, and to see the financial and the technical support that the public sector was willing to offer. And on the flip side, the private sector could also kind of give feedback to what are the obstacles the program is having for them, so that that program from the public sector can then be iterated and improved upon and those obstacles removed. And it was only through this kind of dialogue, interpersonal communication, that this change was actually able to move forward, the needle moved forward, and the goals were met. Another story I'd like to tell, so I'm currently an MBA student at Fordham University, was invited here because we're part of United Nations PRIME initiative, which is the Principles for Responsible Management Education, which is very closely linked with the Global Compact. And so I have the privilege through that to work with the Global Alliance for Clean Cook Stoves. The Global Alliance, it's a public-private partnership launched by Hillary Clinton and the US State Department with the goal of putting 100 million cook stoves in the hands of families around the world that currently use charcoal or wood, which is terrible for your health, also causes terrible environmental impact. And what's very unique is that they're using it, their goal is to invest $10 billion in private companies in order to drive this change. And what I've seen, so through the MBA program, what we do is we're kind of the first screen on the due diligence process, seeing if applicants are a good fit for funding. But the Global Alliance has made a huge commitment, even if applicants aren't right for the program, of talking to them, giving constructive criticism so that they can go back to the drawing board with their business models, refine and iterate their models, and come back and drive change in the long term. So again, what I've seen is it's about this two-way dialogue between the private and public sector that people are able to take things to the next level, iterate, and that financing structures, additional financing is inevitably been able to get in the private sector's hands. So I guess with that, what I'd kind of ask of people today is whatever your role is to engage people on the other side of the table, realize that there's a helping hand on the other side, and be willing to both give and receive that constructive criticism, because in my experience, that's really the way these goals are able to be met. So thank you for your time.